The Cartoonerific podcast is sponsored by the Wonderful World of Animation Gallery, home of rare and wonderful fine animation art. Visit their website at wwagallery.com. And for our Cartoonerific listeners, you will receive a special 10% discount off any purchase if you purchase by March 25th, 2024. Just go to wwagallery.com and enter code CARTOON10 for your 10% discount. Once again, this discount is only valid until midnight, March 25th, 2024. Once again, visit wwagallery.com.
You're listening to the Cartoonerific podcast, classic animated cartoons, with your host animator, Brian Mitchell.
Welcome to Cartoon Fun, it's Cartoonerific, yeah! It's Cartoonerific.
Well. Welcome to the Cartoonerific podcast, classic animated cartoons. My name is Brian Mitchell, and I am your host. Last week we had part one of our two-part episode with Charles Visser. Today is part two. And Charles is a Warner Brothers director, and he's worked at Disney, and he's done a lot of different projects. And we're very thankful for that. So it's a good interview. We've gotten some really good comments from people all around the world. So that's been really great. But I do have to apologize for the audio quality. Apparently, when I record, I'm using a Shure microphone, which is a pretty good piece of equipment. And Charles was using a tin can with a piece of string. Well, anyway, not quite. But when we do these podcasts, the interviews are varying quality. Sometimes we do them by phone, sometimes by Zoom. There's other services out there that we use, or I use, for the interviews. And that's fine, but sometimes when you're recording, if you don't have a good piece of equipment in front of you, if you don't have a good microphone, sometimes the microphone is of middling quality. So in this instance with the interview with Charles, I believe he was using the mic off the computer, and some mics are better than others. And I don't know if he was really up close to the mic. And, and if people don't talk strong enough, the mic doesn't pick up a lot. So I had to play around with the audio quality. But in the future, I promise to do better, try to make these things sound as good as we can. And if the computer speaker isn't working well, we'll go to the phone, because the phone is just a hell of a lot better than some of these computer mics. So there. Up next is Charles Visser. So try to duke it out. There's some good stuff here. Stay tuned. Please don't go away.
Cartoonerific is the place to be to celebrate hand-drawn animated cartoons. The Cartoonerific podcast features interviews with the magic makers behind your favorite animated cartoons, with episodes uploaded every Friday. Or visit the Cartoonerific blog featuring articles about classic cartoon animation. At the Cartoonerific Gallery, view original animation art and memorabilia from your favorite animated films and TV shows. The company store features exclusive swag from the Cartoonerific universe. And coming soon, brand new world premiere cartoons on the Cartoonerific channel. It's all here. Join the fun at www.cartoonerific.com. That's cartoon, ERIFIC.com. It's Cartoonerific, saving the universe one funny cartoon at a time. And now it's time for our special Cartoonerific guest.
Hey, we had so much fun with part one, we had to do a part two. So here it is, our interview with Warner director Charles Visser. Enjoy. Yeah, that was fun. Jeez.
It was more
And then we
fun.
came up with an episode of it for the studio show.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
worst thing you could do is tell Alfred a story of something like that, and Alfred would go, oh, and just start drawing on his desk.
He
And
did.
within
And then it
minutes
would,
he have a cartoon
that's right.
of whatever happened. They're
Well-
usually embarrassing.
I told him some story about this garbage truck blocking my car, and I had to get to work. And it was like, I don't know. He caricatured me, my big fat head out of a small car, and me like yelling at these guys, and these garbage guys are just like they look like something out of Popeye, but really burly, coming and like beating the stuffing out of me. And he did one drawing after the other. It's just hilarious. I have them
Oh, yeah.
somewhere. They're funny, really funny.
He would take any situation and make it the most awful drawing, but the most wonderful character. of
Oh,
the
yeah.
situation.
Yeah, just really wonderful. No, Alfred's great. He's still working in the business, right?
Yes. Last I heard, he was directing on Gaumont. I think on what was that? The Muggy Chronicles or something like that. I can't
No,
about the Samurai Rabbit. That's all I know.
right. So when did you make the progression from storyboard to director over at Warner's?
That was actually right at that time that we were talking about on Alfred's crew on Animaniacs.
Mhm.
I think Alfred was
Didn't he go to Casper? He went to work.
no, this is before the Casper.
Oh, okay.
Tom wanted him to produce the show, and I know Alfred had some reservations, but I guess Tom eventually coerced him into it. So
Right.
they needed somebody to finish out the Animaniacs.
Right.
And I think we still had about a half a season left to go. So Alfred, I think, was the one that suggested me at that time.
Right.
So I'm thankful for that
There you go.
over his unit. So
Pretty neat. So you got the boss Joey Benaskowitz around
yeah.
or something. I don't know. I had left before that.
Yeah, I think you were leaving at that time. I think you got a better deal either at Disney or at Blues.
No, I actually I went back to New York. I went back
Was
to New
this
York.
before or after the earthquake?
It was after the earthquake. How many times have you had earthquakes since I left in 1995? 0. Maybe there
We're
was
still waiting for that big one that's going to hit someday.
Yeah, it's going to hit someday, probably sometime in the next century. So
That's what they've been
that was
saying.
that was the big one for the next 100 years. So, but no, it was okay. I was able to teach. I taught some people, and then I ended up picking up some work from Alfred on Casper, and so I did Casper the Friendly Ghost. I did a little bit of Warner's, and then some Hanna-Barbera stuff and Jetsons and all this other wonderful stuff. So that now everybody knows what I'm all about. So there you go. So so you got you got to be a director. So that's cool. So were you able to? What's your favorite episodes of things you directed over there?
Oh boy, I mean, there were so many that we did. It's hard to pin down.
Is there anything you're really proud of? Like, wow, I really nailed that.
Well, I think when they announced that they're going to do Pinky and the Brain.
As a series,
So that's when I think I had a lot of fun.
right?
So,
Were you? So there were 3 directors on that, or
3. I think we started out with 4 units, and then I think it became 3 when it's
right?
literally back to 4 units. Yeah,
That's cool,
because other shows were starting and ending, so people would come and go.
right?
But I think when we did that at first, I think it was Kurt Tingblad, Russell Calabrese,
Wait, what was the first name again?
Russell Calabrese or Kurt Tingblad.
Okay, so it was Kirk, and then Russell, and then you.
Myself, and then I know that God, I'm pleased. I know Rob Davies was there, but I don't know if he took over for. I think he took over for Adu Payton.
Right. Where did Aldu go to? Was he?
Adu went to. I think it was Sony.
Okay. There you go. Well, That's pretty cool. So you worked on that, and then after Pinky, you stayed at Warner's. You pretty much.
Yeah, I stayed in Warner's until 98. The whole funny thing was like, yeah, we love everything about Pinky and the Brain except them wanting to take over the world.
Oh, really? Oh,
It's like,
God.
okay.
There you go. Political correctness at work. Yeah.
So,
Come on. It's two mice, for crying out loud. It's two mice who
Yeah.
want to take over the world.
well,
you know-
Peter Hastings was executive producing it. You know, he did a great job with it and
Right.
tried to turn it into what they wanted to be. And I guess it did well enough, but you know, then times were changing. So now we're talking mid to late 90s.
Right.
So I don't know. Animation seemed like it wasn't as popular as it had once been in the previous 10 years.
Right. Well, there was a transition because everybody was chasing the hot dog, you know,
Yeah.
meaning computer animation.
Yeah, that was just starting to come in.
Yeah.
Once Toy Story came out, what was that, 95?
What,
Toy
Toy Story?
Yeah.
I want to say it was like 90. Well, what did you have? Maybe 95. You had, was it Nightmare Before Christmas before that? Just trying to think. This is where, you know, all the people out in the audience they're listening to this and they're screaming out, "You idiot." You guys, you can look it up. You can look it up in the Yellow Pages and find out what it is.
So yeah.
Now
I'm
people are going to be
pretty
opening up their Yellow Pages. I don't see anything but a bunch of businesses, for crying out loud.
What's a yellow page?
What's a Yellow Page? Yeah. I'll give you one. My dog just went on it. Yeah. All right. So
Yeah, so the times they were changing.
they were changing because I at that time I was getting work on I think it was Naughty, Make Room for Naughty,
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
got a little bit of that too.
Yeah.
So,
But, you know, Warner Brothers actually held to their guns because I don't think they got into the computer animation thing. I think they kind of stuck it out doing.
they were sticking to the 2D.
Yeah.
And so at towards the end of that, I think they had just announced another series, Pinky and the Brain, Pinky Elmira and the Brain.
Oh,
By that time, you know, I had done 10 years of them. And it's like, I want to do something else. So
something else. I just want to interject here. Pinky and the Brain, Elmira, Pinky and the Brain sounds to me like when they took Daffy Duck and paired him up with Speedy Gonzales because, and we all know what classics were produced with those two characters.
I mean, it wasn't a bad show, but it's just that, this isn't what I want to do anymore.
Right.
And
So what'd you do? What did you do? The audience is, they're out there, they're saying, they're hanging on the edge of their
I switched
chairs.
gears laterally
Yeah.
because at that point they were doing another show called Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries. So,
Oh, okay.
and it's like, they need a director. So I got pulled onto that.
Cool.
And, yeah, on the second season of Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries.
Right. How'd that go?
That was great. That was like the most freedom I've ever had on the show.
Right. Who was producing that? That wasn't a Tom Ruger production.
No, that was a Tom Minton and a Tim Walker production.
Wow.
So it was really, hands-on, which is something that we weren't really allowed to do on Animated Sneaky the Brain.
Right. So were you able to contribute to the stories, or did they?
Yeah. I mean, Tom Minton would have scripts come in, and he would say, "Okay, here's the script. Go ahead and change what you want."
Wow.
And it was like, really?
Yeah. Well, Tom Minton is a cartoon guy. He's all for that, making it better. Yeah.
Give us carte blanche to change the scripts and make it funny if we want. And I decided it's like, well, it shouldn't just be me. So I'd bring in my crew. It's like, well, what do you guys think we should do with this? Or what do you think it should look like?
Right.
You were given the choice. It's like, well, we can change up the background styling or anything.
Wow.
Anything was. And so it's like, okay, I want it to look like a Disney Bambi in this episode. Or I
Right.
wanted to look like watercolors. So,
Wow. That's really neat that they actually give you the flexibility to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in situations like that, but at Warner Brothers, it was pretty. This is the one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize. Tiny Toons and Animaniacs and Hysteria were very writer-driven shows, and
Yes.
there was an edict that came down at one point. It's like, what's written is what you're doing, and
Yes.
and I mean, if you had an idea, you'd have to run it by Tom, that was okay, because you could say, I think this should happen here, and then he would say yay or nay.
Yeah.
But he wanted to stick to the script, so you were really tied down. But it just sounds like with Tweety and Sylvester, they gave you the room to kind of really
We were
stretch
given
out.
carte blanche.
Yeah,
We could play with characters that, as long as it wasn't anybody like Bugs or Daffy or like that.
right.
So we could bring in like Bugsy or
Any
any
of the
other-
secondary characters.
Yeah, secondary characters. Like I wanted Charlie Dog. I could do Charlie
Oh wow!
Dog. So that was fun.
Frizz Freeling is rolling in his grave. Chuck Jones character in one of his shows. Yeah. Well, they liked each other, so
But that was fun, and it was like maybe a year of that.
right,
And now we're up to about 98.
right,
And that's when things really started to change for Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers decided, it's like, well, Gene McCurdy was stepping out, Sandra Schwartz was stepping in,
right,
and the studio changed.
right.
Everything was now more, budget oriented.
Right,
They can't do that.
right.
So
Because those other shows, Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, I think Animaniacs was, $1 million an episode at that time, which was,
yeah, they never really told us, but it was at least 800,000.
yeah, which is a lot. It was a lot back then.
That's 1990s money. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, Sandra Schwartz came in and said, nope, $1.98 an episode. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, because the studio was changing. I think Turner had just bought, merged with Warner Brothers at that time, so there was a big change.
Yeah.
Big change.
So how'd you handle that? What'd you do? Did you stay there? Did you take a powder?
Like I think I was given notice that Sylvester and Tweety wasn't going to be renewed.
Mm-hmm.
There was no openings at the time at the studio, so I decided to. I took a call from my friend John Over, and he was at a small independent, Mike Young, and they were doing Clifford the Big Road Dog.
Oh, so Cynthia Petrovic was over there too.
Yeah, Cynthia Petrovic.
She moved over there. She was what? I don't think she was directing at that point. I think she was storyboarding.
She was boarding, so
Yeah.
we both came in as board artists.
Right. John Over's a great guy, by the way.
Yes, he is. John's a great guy.
Great guy.
Mr.
Absolutely.
Personality.
Yes. He always laughed at my antics. He's told me I just talked with him maybe about 2 weeks ago. And so he was telling me stuff that I did back in the day 30 years ago. And I was like, that was me? I did that? What, are you kidding me? I didn't do that. And he said, no, you did. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, yeah, I did. And it wasn't.
Oh, I'm so ashamed.
Well, yeah. Oh, well. Anyway, I was a little bit of I don't want to say practical joker, but I was kind of a bad boy back in the day. Not really bad, just trying to be funny.
Well, there was
Like right now and failing at it.
I know when we were at CalArts, one of the big jokes to play on someone was they sold Limburger cheese in the cafeteria. And
No.
yeah, they did. Somebody got the funny idea. Well, wouldn't it be funny to put it on the light bulb of somebody's drawing desk while they're drawing?
Oh my God.
Suddenly, melting Limburger cheese on a light bulb is a horrible smell.
It's a horrible smell. The thing, that story actually goes back to the 30s. They used to do that and put it under somebody's light table, and it would just stink up, and it's like the people would be like, "Where the hell is that smell coming from?"
Yeah, it's just awful.
Just awful, boy. And
Always.
yeah, but I'm really surprised. It's almost like they said, "Well, there's cartoonists here, so we have to have the Limburger cheese for them."
Well, it was that. And remember the fart machines, the little fart machine remotes?
No.
I can't remember if it was Alfred. Well, remember the store called Oz was like a novelty store?
Okay.
Okay, so they had sold this little electronic thing. It was like a little electronic remote.
Right.
And it had a speaker. And you could hide the speaker somewhere in somebody's cubicle. So, and then you could just make them like a fart sound.
No, really?
Yeah, I was like,
Wow. Wow.
it was really
Wow. I don't know. Yeah. Would I have partaked in that? No, I don't know.
I think that was probably an Alfred gag.
I'm sure it was. Yeah, they bring Joe Barbera into the here. I want you to meet Joe Barbera. Do you remember that when we were at Warner's? Do you remember them bring Joe Barbera around and introducing him to everybody, or Bill Hanna?
Yeah, I remember Mr. Hanna and Mr. Barbera.
I remember they brought Joe Barbera over, and I had met him over at Hanna-Barbera, of course, but they brought him around, and he didn't know who the hell I was. I mean, I didn't even know if he knew where he was in the studio, but they brought him around. So it was Jean bring him around. She said, "Oh, of course, you know Brian Mitchell." Like she assumed that I'd been there, and I get up and I go over to Joe. It's so great to see you again. Just played right into it. And it's like, oh yeah, sure. How have you been? I was like, yeah, you don't know who I am.
No, I remember they were both. God, they
were ancient,
90s, or right before their 90s when Turner bought Hanna-Barbera, and Hanna-Barbera Turner merged with Warner Brothers.
Right. Or they bought Warner Brothers or something.
Go into the studio, and they closed the old Hanna-Barbera studio.
That's right, and it became a gym.
Yeah, they would bring them in every day.
Right.
They had their own offices. Bill had his, and Joe had his.
Right.
They shared a secretary, and I know they each had their own showers. That's all I know.
They had showers? Oh,
they
wow.
had showers in their rooms.
Wow. Probably a bed and... No, and Bill's working on like the fifth incarnation of Yankee Doodle Duck, So, I'm saying all this stuff. I'm going to get in trouble. I know it. This is going to be the podcast. This is going to probably be the last podcast I ever do. It's going to be. I'm going to be sunk.
You can edit it out. Just go from laughing to laughing.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? So it was.
Well, Clifford lasted. I guess it was about a year.
All right. How was Mike Young to work for doing that stuff?
No, it was different. It was fun. I mean, John made it fun, so we had a lot to do with Clifford. It was preschool, so we couldn't do the crazy wacky stuff as much. But
right.
It was fun, and I went from board artist, and then John got so busy that I became the board supervisor on that.
Oh wow!
So
well, that's a neat position to be in. You guys went on to do the pig show, right?
He did. I left at that time.
Oh God!
I got a call back from Warner Brothers that they were going to do Jerry.
Tom and Jerry, yeah.
Yeah, and it was again with Tim Walker and John Minton.
Wow. Yeah, so you made the right decision, I think. But Clifford, I have to say, those productions were actually pretty good. The quality was excellent.
Yeah. And John was producing. Charlie Bean was our main character designer.
Right.
And a lot of it, was the new system where a lot of the boards were freelanced, and we had skeleton crew in house.
Right.
That's the way it was.
So, you wrapped up there. You went to Warner's, and you're working on the Tom and Jerry Tales, or was it just
Nope.
Tom and Jerry?
Tom and Jerry and the Magic Ring.
Oh, so you're doing the feature films,
Yeah, the feature film. So that was fun.
right?
It was like again, Tom and Tim wanted to do more like the old system. So they had sequence directors.
Mhm.
Um,
So,
and
were you a sequence director on that?
was it a sequence? I don't know if I was a sequence director or I can't remember anymore. I know I was given a sequence.
Right.
I guess you could call me a sequence director.
Okay. Well, you went back as a director, not a board artist. You went.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like I basically boarded my whole sequence by myself. So.
Oh, well, yeah, but that's, when you're, this is something that a lot of people don't understand. When you're storyboarding, you're basically directing the show.
You are directing the show.
Yeah. And I mean, the actual director, he kind of oversees and he makes sure, he might want you to hit certain points in the script or whatever. And then the director ends up normally timing it, right?
Yeah.
And, but you're overseeing, as a director, you're overseeing the shot, the shots. So if you look at it, you go, oh, this doesn't work and we need to change this or whatever. And that's your job as a director. But when you're storyboarding, and being the director, you're calling all the shots. And does somebody overlook what you're doing? I mean, there has to be like an overall director that's looking to make sure everything kind of hooks,
Tim and Tom would do that. And it was, like you said, Tim was mostly concerned about the timing, so that's where his focus was.
Right.
Tom was more interested in the story. And as long as it played out, he didn't care if he decided, it was like, well, it would be funny if we did a whole chase sequence here. And he was good with that.
Right. That's cool. So that was a feature film.
That was a feature.
Tom and Jerry and the Magic Ring.
Yeah.
And then is that when the wheels fell off and they just decided to do Tom and Jerry and Charlie's Angels, I mean,
it was about in that time. So
right.
I think by that point, there wasn't a lot going on. Osmosis Jones had come out, I think, the previous year, and they were doing the TV series. Tom Ruger was no longer there. Gene McCurdy had left.
Right. It was Sander.
They were doing Shaolin Showdown. They got what else was going on at that time? Scott Gerald, I think, was still starting on Crypto. I think that was
Crypto the dog.
Super Dog.
Okay.
That might have even been a little bit later.
All right.
Because I know around that time, 99, 2000, someone's in there. The studio really didn't have anything going, but there was another division called Warner Brothers Online.
Right.
Was going to do, and they were going to do kind of like a Survivor parody, but they wanted to use the Looney Tunes characters. But since it was online, it was all going to be done in Flash, and not what we have now, broadband. This was still back in the days of narrowband.
Right.
So
right.
it had to be very limited.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
They ended up doing that for a couple of years. I don't know if you can even still find those things. They might be somewhere on the internet.
There's always somebody that kind of digs up this stuff, and they.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, remember the last thing that Chuck Jones did, that Thomas the Timberwolf?
Oh, Timberwolf.
It was in that sort of vein.
Yeah, it's a one joke. Basically a one joke cartoon.
So the first one we did was like parody of Survivor. It's like that's what the studio wanted, so that's what we're doing.
Right.
And these were like 2 to 3 minutes tops.
Right.
Very limited flash animation. But as they say in the business, work is work.
Work is work. Gotta keep the food coming.
Yeah, gotta keep the food coming.
Gotta keep the food coming. Forget about the rent. Just keep the food coming. Yeah. So
I did that for a couple of years.
Right.
And then, Tom and Jerry. We did another Tom and Jerry Tales.
Right. I did a few of those.
Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah.
Those were a lot of fun. Again, Tom Minton was with that, and Frank Molieri was an executive producer.
Yes. I worked with Frank over at, I met with him. I came out there during that time, and I met with him, and he was showing me his office, and he was a in-betweener at Don Bluth Studios back in the day.
Well, he's a hell of an animator too.
Yeah,
Draws beautifully.
yeah, he's a great talent.
One of the nicest guys I've ever met. So
Yeah, it's really.
nothing but praise for him.
Yeah, he used to call me Mitchell Vision all the time. I did this cheap animated short because I just was playing around with 35 millimeter film and I wanted to learn the process. So I did this film called The Last Duck on Earth. And,
I remember that.
Yeah, and it was a really stupid idea that it's seen nowhere. It's basically, but it was a 1 minute short, and so he looked at it. And ever since then, because I had these stupid jokes on there, like filmed in Mitchell Vision. And so ever since he saw that, he would go, "Hey, Mitchell Vision," So there you go. So, yeah, Tom and Jerry Tales was fun. And, yeah, I think Eric Goldberg did the opening animation, didn't he, for that?
Yeah, he did the opening title animation, which is just wonderful.
Yeah. Eric Goldberg, if you don't know who he is, just look him up. He's a fantastic animator. I don't know, sometimes, when people are listening to this, I assume that they know who all these people are. And
well, you can just say, okay, you remember Aladdin?
Yeah, remember the genie in Aladdin? Yeah.
That's him.
That's him. And people go, I thought it was Robin Williams. Well, and him, yes.
And,
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, so I was there on Tom and Jerry Tales, and then I think I moved on to Scooby and Shaggy Doo Get a Clue, which was another iteration of
right. So
Scooby-Doo.
200th
200
series Scooby Doo. I remember turning on Cartoon Network recently, and it was just like nonstop. They should just call it the Scooby Doo channel. I said that. They have all this stuff, all this great stuff, and it's just like 24 hours of Scooby Doo, and people, they're just like, I got to watch Scooby Doo. I have to watch another episode of it. It's like, come on. I mean, I know it's keeping the money flowing over for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, the one thing I'd say was really came out and was very happy to work on was my time at on Tom and Jerry Tales, working with Frank.
Yeah,
they were going to do a Looney Tunes Christmas special.
Bah Humduck.
Bah Humduck.
There you go. I worked on that.
I got asked to direct on that. Yeah.
Wow.
That was like a dream come true. It's like now I get to draw Bugs, Daffy, Porky, everybody.
Right.
That I've been wanting to do forever. And when I first read the script, and it read like a Christmas Carol, and I go, well, we shouldn't be doing a Christmas Carol. We need to be doing Bill Murray's Scrooged. That's right. Looney Tunes.
Right.
So, we tried to push it in that direction as much as we could.
Right.
But you have a script.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do a script.
Right.
So with Frank's help, we were able to push it a little more into the Looney Tune vein.
Good.
And I think that it just came out beautiful and it's very successful.
Who animated it? Was it?
Was done, I think it was TMS. Or was it Wang? No, it was. It'll come to me sooner or later.
I could swear the animation was getting better on these things.
It was done in the Philippines, so
right, Phil cartoons.
Yeah. So unlike we didn't have that language barrier issue.
Right.
People in the Philippines speak English. They kind of have an idea of what Americans' sense of humor is. So
right. So you're able to say to them, "Will you draw this good, please?"
Well, you know who Scott Peterson was?
Wait, who?
Scott Peterson.
Scott Peterson.
He came out of Disney. So he was basically the
the supervisor.
Supervisor. He was the animation supervisor.
Oh, so he was probably doing some keys down there and telling.
Yeah. So he made sure it looked like Looney Tunes.
Wow.
And it came back. Frank went over there. And they were so happy to have him. They really, because it was very ambitious for what it was with all the characters.
Right. Wow. That's terrific.
And that was just a great.
Were you the sole director on that, on Bod
I was
Honda?
sole director on that.
Wow, cool. So you got your own feature film.
yeah. I don't know if it ever. I don't think they were. They think they were planning to, but they never did. So it was just a direct video.
A direct video.
Right.
Yeah, but sometimes, these things come out so good that, I think the Goofy movie from Disney,
Another one, yeah.
Which looked like it could have been animated in, a Disney feature animation. I mean,
Sure. One thing I know they did like the Three Musketeers.
yeah,
That was another one.
another great one. Yeah, and it's you can do good quality animation overseas, but it just really needs a good supervisor.
It does.
And of course, you need good artists and stuff like that. But it can be done. Brave Little Toaster proved that to me.
Yes.
That was basically a Hyperion gave Jerry Reese, this, he gave him I think it was like a couple of $1 million. It wasn't a lot of money at all. 2 or 3 million.
Yeah.
And that was like a paltry amount. I mean, that's like direct to video money,
That's what we had. I don't think we had.
Yeah. But it's, I always say to people that, it really has nothing to do with the money. It's the creativity. It's the people behind it wanting to do something that's good and, and putting the money in the right places, I mean, you're not going to get feature, like, you're not going to get Beauty and the Beast and you're not going to get Lion King, but you're going to get something that is going to be entertaining, and
that's one thing I always hate, particularly when people go, "Oh, this show was awful." What the hell were they thinking? It's like, well, you weren't there. Okay, you don't know what the limitations were for the
right.
artists on the show. So unless you were there, unless you've been in that situation, you have no right to say this is crap.
Right.
You can have your opinion, but you can't say that the people that worked on it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's definitely, it's not just the money, but it's like what the people over you are making you do.
Right.
And so, you want to put more time into an area. No, you need to get this done. This needed to be done yesterday. And believe me, I've been on that side of it where, the work is sent to me. When does it due? Yesterday.
Yeah.
And no, you need to send this out. You need to get this back to us by the end of today. I'm like, and it's like, huh? And you got, a page of script I think a page is 10 pages of storyboard is about 30 panels, something like that. Yeah. So, it's a lot of work to, I mean, you can loosely sketch something out maybe in a day like that and get 10 pages done, but it can be done. It can be done, but it's just, you gotta visualize this stuff too. You gotta look at the script and there is no visual script for you. You have to kind of.
Well, the one thing I know is how page count, at least storyboards have changed. When we did Tiny Toons, a board was 110 pages, a 3-panel storyboard.
Yeah,
that was average.
Yeah, close to 500 panels.
By the time we did Animaniacs, that was now about 165 to 200.
Wow. Yeah, it was a lot.
Nowadays, I've done digital boards with 1,000 panels. So 1,000, 1,500.
Yeah, now but you're timing the stuff out now. I mean, the process is a lot different because back in the day when you're working on Tiny Toons and Animaniacs, you're just responsible for the board drawings. But now, because it's all digital, they expect you to do the timing and add the tracks to it, and and it's almost you're creating an animatic now. You're creating an animatic, which is a lot more work.
Yes.
To put that together,
whiteouts and running back and forth with Xerox machine and Post-it notes.
Right.
Now it's all digital.
Yeah. Which in a way is good, but in another way it's not so good. But
no.
But I think I would have liked it doing animatics back in the day. I think, but
I enjoy it because you can really go, well, I know what I want this to look like, and a storyboard just won't tell it, but an animatic will show the action I want and the timing.
And the timing of it, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's a different world. You have a little bit more control over the end product.
Yes.
So that's wonderful.
Snappy as I want. I can add as many in betweens as I want.
Right.
Stellar.
How did the 7D come around?
The 7D, Tom Ruger. I got a call from Tom Ruger, and he was.
What did he say? I want my music CDs back, you bum. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I have this project.
The pilot wasn't even sold. They had just done the pilot,
Right.
but they were already interviewing for possible director positions. So I didn't get that first callback. Alfred did, but
Right.
they were doing just like a couple of, let's just say, animatics.
Right.
And I got pulled in to work on that.
Uh-huh.
So we did those, and then we got a green light, and I was asked to direct on those. So I became the director on 7D, and we took our animated animatics, I just call them that, that's what they were. They were just basically colored storyboards,
Right.
sound effects. And we fleshed those out, turned those into episodes, and then we did I think, an additional 13 or something like that.
Right.
We got full season out.
Wow.
So, and then about halfway through, they gave us a green light for a second season. And it was supposed to be like a huge thing. It's like, oh, wow, yeah, we're going to put this across, all the brands, and we're going to sell it. It was just a fun little show.
You had dreams. You had dreams of going back to Disneyland and seeing the 7D ride.
Well, that they did come out with the Seven Dwarfs Mine Ride, but it was not based on our Seven Dwarfs.
No.
The weird thing with that show was it's like, okay, we're doing the Seven Dwarfs, but we cannot do the Disney brand Seven Dwarfs. So that's why they ended up looking completely different.
Right, and confusing the crap out of everybody that watching it.
Crap out of everybody.
Yeah.
and it was just a fun little show.
Right.
We had a lot of fun with it.
So you had two good seasons, and then
2 good seasons out of it, and then because there was some question of what the show started out. Originally, was supposed to be a preschool show,
right.
and then they said no, it doesn't read as a preschool show, so they upped it. And then for the next age group, and they go no, then they upped it again.
Right.
So it originally went from a preschool show to, I think,
now it's for 80 to 89-year-old men.
Something like that. And so the humor definitely took a big change there.
I'm sorry.
We were having a great old time. Voice cast was fantastic.
Right. Oh, jeez. Who are the voices on that? Let me guess. Tress MacNeille, Rob Paulson. No. Tell me who. Or did I nail it? Did I nail it?
Nope.
No. Okay.
There's a couple of those.
Right. Jess. Yes. All right. You don't remember.
I know. I can't remember voice.
It was Nipsey Russell. Was one of them? No.
All
right. No, he was long gone at that
Kelly
point.
Baker, Kevin Michael Richardson.
Right.
Oh God, Leanne did Queen Delightful.
Okay.
Was it Maurice LaMarche? I can't remember if he was on there.
He works on everything though, Maurice. Doesn't he?
I think he did Grumpy. I believe he did Grumpy.
He Grumpy?
I apologize. That's not correct. We were talking. This was 7 years ago. So
The 7D years ago.
70 years ago.
Yeah.
But like all good things come to an end.
I guess so. What was the last big thing you worked on after the 7D? Did you work on another one of these, like Tom and Jerry Go to Mars or something like that?
I mean, I did.
Tom and Jerry and the Lost Cough Drop. I don't know. I'm being a jerk. I'm sorry. See, I can do this with you. I can't do this with like some of the other button-down guests that come on here. Because I say something like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? You're making fun of my career." It's cartoons, for Christ's sakes.
And then you just have to laugh at yourself because it is just a damn cartoon.
It's just a cartoon. It's a cartoon.
Just a cartoon.
It's to have fun. That's what these podcasts are supposed to be. Yeah.
You get a character over the head with a frying pan. When was the last time in the news you saw somebody hit somebody with a frying pan?
My ex-wife. Sorry. She's going to be listening to this. Okay, it's a lawsuit.
No.
There you go.
But unfortunately that ended, and then I went back to Warner Brothers again.
Right.
I'm on.
You just love that place.
I guess I got known as a Warner Brothers guy.
Yeah. Well, that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all.
Warner's has done some pretty good stuff over the last 30 years. You should be proud of that.
I've had a lot of fun with them.
Yeah.
Way back in the early days, and the last thing was, the Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, and then on Scooby Doo and Guess Who.
Right.
Just been great times.
Well, those are shows. You got kids coming up, and they're enjoying this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like a hero.
Yeah.
You should get the superhero cape and just run around. I'm Charles Visser. I've directed.
Well, no. If I tell people, it's like, yeah, I worked on Animaniacs and and people will be like, "What?" I loved that when I was a kid.
I love that. I got that. I got a little bit of that today. I love that. And I tell them what I did on it, and they go, "Oh, okay." I didn't care for that too much.
Oh yeah.
Well, I was close to I worked with those guys that did the shows you liked.
Oh sure.
Yeah. No, we had. I'll tell you, I had a lot of fun when I was there, and I think that's a sure sign of like when you're working on something that's good and you're having fun with it, and then you're you're joking around with other people and stuff like that. And I think that's it's a wonderful thing. Those are really good memories for me, and working with you and Joey Benaskowitz and Phil Mosnes and Tony Craig and Ken Boyer, Alfred Gimeno, Tom Ruger, all these really talented people, Ann Gunther, and geez, it was a wonderful time. So, you doing anything special now?
Let's see. So, what did last couple of years? Like I said, it's been bouncing around.
Right.
I was back at Disney again for Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse movie, to say, a Halloween movie.
Oh, cool. Directing on that, or just storyboarding on that, or
just storyboarding?
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon was directing on that.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, storyboarding's fun.
Fun on those guys too. You get to go classic Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, Daisy and Minnie, and it's just fun.
There you go. Is that the old style or the newer?
It's the first CG, so it was like the 3D style.
Oh, okay.
Rob DeLuca was producing.
Cool.
Story out of there. Ed Wexler was characters.
Is that going to go like to Disney Plus or something like that?
It's already came out. It's on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay, cool.
All the tale 2 inches.
Wow.
And then after that, I was on Mini Bow Tunes for a few months.
Mini Boat Tunes?
Mini Bow Tunes.
So that's Minnie Mouse.
Minnie Mouse.
Minnie Mouse. Minnie. Wow.
That, and then made a complete 180 and went over to Bento Box and did a few months on Bob's Burger. So
Bob's Burgers. Wow. There you go. Funny show.
Yeah.
Funny show. You're working all over the place. You're spreading.
All over the place, and I keep switching gears. So
you're spreading that Charles Visserness all over the place.
Yeah, the last few things was back at what was Mike Young is now Splash. Did Woody Woodpecker.
Oh wow! Mike Milo was working on those, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's directing those.
Yeah,
those were a lot of fun.
Yeah, Mike's a great guy.
So yeah, I mean, I'd say I've had a great career.
There you go.
I hope it's not over, but you never know.
And now I'm going to the Bronx. I'm going to retire. Yes. Charles, thank you for coming on here. It was fun.
No,
I don't think we learned anything about your career, but we had a few laughs and it was fun.
Do you have any questions or comments about the podcast? Please email Brian at cartoonerific.com. Your email may be featured in one of our future shows.
Well, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you, Charles Visser, for that wonderful interview. It was a lot of fun to do. It's been a long time. I haven't talked to him in a long time, so it was nice catching up. Well, we have some very, very interesting guests coming on the weeks ahead, so please come back and visit the Cartoonerific podcast to hear some of those interviews. If you really like what you're listening to, please subscribe. Go to your favorite service, just hit the button, and then you'll be alerted the next time a Cartoonerific podcast is uploaded for your enjoyment. How is that? I think it's pretty good. If you really like what you're listening to, please tell a friend. That's very important because that's how we grow around here. We grow because you tell somebody about the podcast and you tell some other people, and then they come on, they listen, and very good thing. Anyway, want to thank everybody for listening. These have been a lot of fun to do. I really enjoy them. I hope you're having fun with them too. So, want you to have a great day. Want you to have an excellent week. And once again, thank you so much for tuning in. See ya.
This has been a Cartoonerific Studios presentation.
The Cartoonerific podcast is copyright 2024 by Cartoonerific Studios Incorporated. All rights reserved.